Very good evening to all the participants and all my colleagues. I, Dr. Swati Shinde, along with Dr. Narendra Devre, as a institute level SIG coordinators, I welcome you all for this 5 days workshop on computer networks and insight. So, dear students, all of you might be knowing, or as already you know, the concept of this special interest group, that is SIG. So these SIGs are nothing but means in our PCCOE, if you see, there are total 28 SIGs in all the departments. Each department have 4 5 SIGs. So these SIGs represents the technical subdomains for that particular department. Like ENTC is having the SIGs, VLSI, communications. So similarly, computer department is having some biomedical SIG, machine intelligence. So in all the departments, we have different SIGs, and the purpose of this SIG is to exchange the ideas, to interact the with each other, and to share the knowledge with each other, and to come up with different activities like different paper publications, then delivering some different workshops. Like this workshop is organized by the communication SIG of ENTC department, and for this particular SIG, communication SIG, Dr. Kinge and Professor Rahate, these are the SIG coordinators, convener and secretary respectively, and the faculty members of this SIG, Mr. Prakash Sontakke sir and the Shirke ma'am and the Vas ma'am. These three faculty members have come up with this particular workshop on computer networks and insight. These three faculty members are the coordinator of the workshop, as well as they are going to deliver the workshop. And as you might have seen, the content of this workshop is very systematically designed. Let me tell you that this is the fourth workshop organized by the SIGs at institute level, or SIGs of PCCOE, we can say. And the specialty of these workshops is all these workshops are intensive workshops. So intensive in the sense that workshops are of very small duration, only 1 hour every day after working hours, like 5:15 to 6:15. Although they are of 1 hour, but the content delivered by this workshop is a very targeted content. Means in the minimum possible time, the maximum possible content is delivered by the resource persons. So that is the beauty of this workshop. So students can learn maximum in a minimum time. Therefore, it gives a very good takeaway for the participants. And also, these workshops are delivered by the good experts of our PCCOE. So, in addition to this, so many workshops are coming up. So, I request students to participate and in all the workshops and take the benefit out of these workshops. So, this workshop is a 5 days workshop, and today is the first day. Just I will give the small like outline of this workshop. Today, Professor Sontakke sir and Vas madam are going to deliver. And the content of today's workshop is the fundamentals of computer network, as well as the ISO OSI model and TCP/IP model will be delivered. Tomorrow, again, Sontakke sir will deliver the workshop, and IP address and class subnetting will be delivered. And day after tomorrow, again, Sontakke sir will deliver the workshop, and that content day after tomorrow is about the different. They are going to cover the different tools, like introduction to the Cisco packet tracer tool, and different network topologies will be covered. And also the computer networking applications like web server, DNS server, and Wi-Fi server. This is the content that will be delivered day after tomorrow. On the fourth day, again another tool will be covered, like Wireshark tool, real-time packet analysis. For that particular thing, that Wireshark tool is used, and analysis of secured and unsecured communication will be delivered on the fourth day. And on the last day of the workshop, like Professor Shirke madam is going to cover like different networking devices, as you know, routers and bridges, switches. So different introduction and the knowledge about the different networking devices will be covered. So as you know, this is a very important topic. See, you are sitting in your hometown, different cities, and still we are connected virtually. Why? Because of the network. A network or the internet allows us, like the person to connect across the globe. Uh, the person sitting anywhere, they are getting connected because of the network. So network is playing very important role during pandemic. We understood the importance of this particular network. So I request all the participants be serious during the workshops and uh, learn maximum out of this workshop. So at the end, I wish happy learning for the workshop, and I wish you very best like for the participant as well as for the resource persons. We are here, and the purpose of this workshop is not only delivering the content during the workshop, but after the workshop also you can be in touch with the faculty member, so providing the handholding to the participant even after the workshop. This is again the specialty of these intensive workshops. So thank you all, and I request Sontake sir to take over and to start the session. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Swati Shinde, madam. Uh, so, welcome students for this 5 days workshop on the computer networks. And in this workshop, will definitely you get benefited because currently, if we are talking about the latest current technology, everybody is techno savvy, and every smart devices are currently connected to the cloud via the internet. So there's a huge demand of this the networking contents, and there will be having lots of opportunities in the future for all the students in the cloud or specifically in the domain of networking. Okay, how we are going to connect the number of devices for designing the specific applications. Okay, so today the intention about this workshop is to give some basic preliminary knowledge that is required for, suppose some of the students wants to go for the Cisco Certified Network Associate certification, that is CCNA course or CCNP certifications. So in for these certifications, students should get some insights of what is computer networks, what are the different devices that can be used to design the computer networks, or how we can able to design the network depend on our applications. Okay, so based on this, the content of the workshop is designed or apart or according to that it has been taken out. Okay, so it's become a very good learning to you. So let us start with our today's contents, that is the basic content, the fundamentals of computer networks. So myself, Prakash Sontake, so I'm going to deliver the content, and these are the today's content of the presentation. So first we're going to discuss about what is actually the data communication, what are the contents or the components of your data communication. If the devices are communicating with each other, then how they can communicate with each other. Okay, what are the different components of it, so that we can say the devices are successfully communicating with each other. How the devices can send and receive the data, that defines their data flow, whether it can be in a single direction, whether it can be in a bi-directional content. Okay, based on the applications we have the data flow also. Then we can talk about what is actually the computer networks, the definition of it, and the applications of computer network. So say students, while we are going to learn any subject, if we know the applications of it, it becomes very much easier for us to imagine the things. Yeah, because the ENTC branch, that is electronics and telecommunication, or computer or IT, these are the some of the imaginary contents or branches are there. Why I'm saying that? Because if being an ENTC engineer, if I'm saying that the electrons are flowing from this one point to other point, then it is an imaginary thing. Okay? We cannot see the content from your cables. Okay, in the same way, we can say in a computer network language, the packets are moving from one computer to other computers. Then these are the imaginary things. We need to believe that these kinds of packets are moving, and that will contribute the content in your communication between the two or multiple parties. Okay, so before learning to any subject, if you can go with the applications, then students get very much interest So they can imagine according to that view. Okay. Next, we're going to discuss what are the different types of the computer networks, so that it can be based on the different applications also. Nowadays, we are totally rely on the internet. Yeah, the internet is very well-known example of computer networks. In specifically in COVID situation, that is in lockdown, the students and faculties or the world is totally rely on this network, and that is why it will be act as a backbone of our current technology or current the country contents. Then we'll talk about the classification of network architecture. What are the different network architectures are available or that we can develop based on the application oriented. And finally, we'll talk about the network topology. So these are the some of the basic outlines of today's presentation. Okay, we'll talk about this in thoroughly and their importance in designing the tool contents. Now, first we talk about what is a data communication. Now, this word we can say that is a combination of two words, that is data and communication. Okay, the data can be referred as the information. That is the information. It is available in a different forms. Okay, for example, if you are using any applications, take an example of your WhatsApp application. So you are going to communicate with your friends, okay, with the help of different formats. That is, you can transmit or send text messages or audios or videos or any images. Okay, the kind of data might be different, but yes, we are using this particular data and we are going to send and receive the data with the users by following certain set of rules. Okay, and that is over the distance, means it can be a short communication distance or it can be a long communication distance. So if I'm talking about the internet, it is a long communication distance. Worldwidely, it is a complex huge network, that is a WWW, World Wide Web, where devices are communicating the data with each other. Okay, so they will be going to transmit the data, they will going to exchange this particular form of data with each other, okay, with the help of certain communication medias. The communication medias might be, nowadays we are using optical communication cable, okay, that is optical fiber cables, or we can also use the coaxial cable, earlier we used it, or normal UTP or shielded or unshielded twisted cable, that is CAT cables or LAN cables. So with the help of these, the devices can communicate with each other and exchange the information. Now, if I'm talking about the components of a system, data communication system, what can be the components of your data communication system? So at least we require one sender. Yes, we require again one receiver who will going to exchange the data between them. So these devices can be communicated with the help of certain media, that is a transmission media. So the transmission media might be a guided media or unguided media. If I'm talking about the guided media, means we can have one the wired connectivity, okay, and from that wired connectivity data can be transmitted. So wired communication means we can use at least the cables in a different forms based on the data, that is the bandwidth. Okay, so if you are having a least bandwidth, you can go with the shielded or unshielded twisted pair cables. If the data rate requirement is more, then we can go with the coaxial cable. And again, if we require a maximum data rate, then definitely we can go with optical fiber communication. Okay, now what next we require? That is very much important. That is a set of rules. That is the term, the protocol. Yes, every device in a network needs to follow certain set of rules for proper communication between the parties or the users. And these set of rules that governs your communication is known as protocols. Okay, let me give one example, that if traditionally we were using suppose we can say that a kind of letter that we need to convey to our friend. Now, what can be the procedure that we adopted? We write the letter on the page. Whatever the message I need to convey, I need to write it in a page. I need to keep that page after writing it into the envelope. I need to seal that envelope. I need to write to and from addresses, and that I can post it into my local post box. Now the postman will come, collect that particular letter, and it will be sent, take down that letter to the local post office. In the local post office, the collections of all n number of letters can be done. So depends on the receiver destination, that is to destination, it can be sorted out. Okay, and it will be now again transmitted with the help of certain transportation systems. And at the receiver side, again from their local post office, okay, again the sorting has been done, depends on the destination location, and the postman will carry that particular letter and it can be reached to your destination, and your friend will open that particular envelope and read that content of letter written. So these are the set of rules. Okay, if all the parties in between you and your friend, if they are performing their action, means they are following their protocols. So if the device wants to communicate with each other, they needs to follow these set of rules. That is very important. That is a protocol. Okay, so that is one example given. And definitely your outcome is that you want to transmit the message in a different formats. So these are the main basic components of your data communication system. That is, we require sender, receiver, the transmission media, the protocol, and the message. So minimum the 5 components of the data communication system. Now let us talk about the next content, that is the data flow. If I am saying the data is moving from one location to another location, what can be their types? The very first is a simplex type. Means we have one server as a transmitter, we have our destination system is a monitor. Means it's a communication between server to the monitor. Means the data that is being processed onto the server is going to reproduced or display onto the monitor. So it is only a single direction connectivity. Okay, monitor cannot send the data back to the server. Always the data can be moving or it can be sent onto the monitor. So this is the one-way communication, and this communication we can call this as a simplex communication. There are multiple examples are available. For example, I am writing something with the help of keyboard. So the keyboard to the CPU is a one only unidirectional communication is there. Mouse to CPU, again it is a single dimension. Okay, in unidirectional communication is there. Okay, so this is one of the data flow, that is a simplex. Another one is the hub duplex. So if I am saying that if there are 2 devices are there, so the device 1, if it wants to send the data, then it can transmit that data at only a single moment of time. At that instant, another device cannot transmit the data unless and until device 1 transmit the data fully and received successfully by device 2, then and then only device 2 will going to send its own data. Means the data can be sent once at a time. Okay, they cannot transmit the data simultaneously. So that is, we can call this as an hub duplex. The devices can communicate with each other, okay, at a given time moment, and after the completion of that moment of time, the other device can communicate. So devices can communicate once at a time. Next one we can talk is a full duplex mode. Okay, so if I am taking one example of hub duplex, so you can say it's a walkie-talkie used in your military applications. Okay, so if I'm talking about full communication or full duplex communication, I'm having the 2 devices and both are capable of sending as well as receiving the data at all the time. Okay, the very well-known example is our mobile phone, where the users or the devices can communicate with simultaneously. Messages can transmit it simultaneously. Okay, so these are the 3 different types of your data flow, that is simplex, hub duplex, and the full duplex. So what is mean by computer? What can be the usage of your computer? So computer, we can simply, it is a telecommunication network that allows computer to exchange the data. Means what is this computer network? It will use certain services with the help of the telecommunication network. It is a telecommunication network because devices in a remote locations can capable of receiving and transmitting the data. Okay, that we can say is the computer network. We can also say that this is a kind of a physical communication or connection. Okay, and these are the physical connection between the computational devices. Those are connected with each other. That is why here we can have this word of, let me take the pointer. Yes, that is why we have this word of networked computing devices. Okay, whatever the computing devices we have, so in this computer network, your computing device is your computer. We can use your mobile phone also a kind of a computing device. Okay, means whether it can be having their processing capabilities low, but it can be connected with your internet with the help of your internet service providers. Okay, so every computational device, if it is connected with each other with the help of certain guided medias or unguided medias or wireless medias. And yes, everybody is aware about the internet. Internet is very well-known example of computer networks. So let us talk about what can be the applications of computer networks. As I mentioned, without the application, we never imagine the things. What can be the scope of your subject or any domain? Okay. So very first application, with the help of computer networks, we can share your files. If I'm having a drive on my device and I can share this drive to anyone in the world. Okay, so any kind of data I can share instantly by providing the authentication, or whether it can be open to all. Next one, any hardware resources I can share it. Imagine the scenario, if I'm having one startup and where suppose initially 20 employees are there. Okay, so we needed at least 20 computers so that they can work. Okay, and suppose everybody wants to take the printout, whatever the work they have did, so they wants to take the printout, so I need to purchase separate 20 printers if there is no networking is there. But if all these networks are connected in a small intranet, that is a very small network, that is we can call famously and very popularly as local area network, LAN. Okay, where all the 20 devices are connected locally, and if a single printer can attach to it and if it is shared, all the 20 users will going to take the printouts on the same printer. Okay, means we are sharing the hardware resources. I have given one example of printer, but we can use many more hardware resources that can be shared. Definitely, we can use this for the communication purpose, with the collaboration purpose. Everybody is using their emails. They will be having their emails to communicate, WhatsApp messages, different social medias, Facebook, suppose, the Twitter. Okay, or we can have your VoIP calls. You can do it. That is voice over internet protocol. That is a Skype. We can have this Google Meet. Okay, so everything. Okay, that is for the collaboration and for communication. Currently also we are virtually connected with the help of this computer network application. Okay, yes, definitely we can go with the remote access also. If I need to access any system worldwidely, so I can sit over here and access that system if I know the respective credentials. And very important, as we know, humans are recognized by our names. In the same way, computers are recognized by their IP addresses. So we're going to discuss in details about the IP address in your next session, that is tomorrow session. We'll be going to solve multiple problems also, how you can design it. Okay, so if I know the IP address of a destination system, and with the help of username, that credentials, username and password, I can get the access of any device worldwide or virtually. Okay, then your data protection. Definitely computer networks will provide you the data protection if it is being shared. We can use different encryption algorithms. Okay, and with the help of these data encryption algorithms, we're going to encrypt your messages so that nobody will going to take the access of these contents. And Yes, we can have the centralized software management. Means if I'm having a single software, yeah, and if it is installed onto the server, yes, we can definitely share this particular software, which is a centralized one. We are going to get the access of all the remote devices if it is connected to the centralized devices or your server. Definitely by doing this we are going to reduce the costing of your network. Okay, initially it is, if we are going for your installation of your new startup or opening of your new startup, okay, this will definitely gets benefit because of it will going to reduce the cost of your initial investment. And finally, yes, definitely we are getting the flexible access at any instant, at any moment you can log on to the devices or you can share the content easily, because everybody is now using very smart mobile phones, Android mobile phones, okay, or any handheld device. They can easily get the access of their data as it is available on the cloud storage. So these are the very well known applications of the computer networks. Yes. What can be the types of the networks? So based on the size and coverage, the computer networks are mainly broadcasted or divided into four categories. So first one, local area network. Next is a personal area network. Then the local area network, metropolitan area network, and wide area network. So PAN, LAN, MAN, and WAN. These are the four main basic types of the network. So these are distinguished based on the size of your network and the coverage of your network. Now let us talk about the first one, that is about the personal area network. So take an example, if I'm having a different peripheral devices, that might be your Bluetooth headset, it might be mobile phone, it might be my wireless keypad or your mouse or any printer. So every peripheral devices I can connect with my laptop with the help of wireless enabling technology. That wireless enabling technology is nothing but your Bluetooth technology. Yes, so means we are going to communicate with these peripherals, okay, with the help of your Bluetooth technology. And yes, if it is wirelessly, so I can have the option, either I can connect it with the help of wired, or either I can connect these devices with the help of wireless connectivity. So that we can always prefer the wireless devices to reduce the complexity of your network. Yes, otherwise there will be having so many huge connecting cables. Those are connected with n number of different devices. So we always check whether it is whether it's simplified, whether it's a complex network or whether it is easily handled. And definitely, if I'm talking about the Bluetooth technology, it will be having their range up to 10 meters. The devices within the 10 meters can communicate with each other. Next one is the local area network. So based on your geographical structure, if the devices or the computers are connected in one room or in one separate building, okay, that can be having a limited geographical area. Okay, some examples are home, school, college, or any official building. Okay, and within that, the devices can capable of sharing the data. Okay, and that we can small network called as a local area network. So that is based on your Ethernet technology. So Ethernet means we are having the evolutions of computer network, that is Ethernet. We can have the standard Ethernet that is capable of sending and receiving the data rate up to 10 Mbps. Then we have the the fast Ethernet, which is capable of sending and receiving the data of 100 Mbps. We have the gigabit Ethernet of data rate of 1 Gbps, and finally 10 gigabit Ethernet that is capable of receiving and sending the data rate of 10 Gbps technology. So these are the evolutions of your Ethernet. Okay, and yes, definitely the devices in your LAN can be called as different nomenclatures such as a node, host, devices, stations. Okay, so we can call the device or hop also. That is, if you are aware about the layers of ISO-SI. Okay, the data link layer is capable of sending and receiving the data. There is hop to hop communication. We're going to discuss this in tomorrow's session. Okay, not an issue. So that is a brief introduction. So next one is metropolitan area network. Means if such local area network lands, if we are combining with each other, if we are connecting with each other, and that will going to cover your whole city. Means your local area network will be extended and it will be covering to your whole city. That is a one metropolitan area. That is the network. Okay, and that we are called is a MAN. Okay, so this network is very much wider. Okay, as multiple local area networks or intranets are combining with each other to form one big network, which is relatively higher than your local area network. Okay, means what, we are trying to connect two or more than two local area networks to expand our locations. And finally we have the wide area network. Now the device, the n number of devices are situated in suppose any different campuses or such metropolitan area network or local area networks. All these are combinedly connected with each other with the help of internet service providers. Now if you are observing this figure, we have this one campus in one separate state, and this city, suppose the separate cities are available. How we are going to communicate the data between them? So with the help of internet service providers, these devices can be communicated with the help of internet or wide area network. So definitely geographically it is extended and it will cover a maximum distance. Okay, so it is, the WAN is nothing but it will be having a good coverage and it will going to cover the city or the overall country as well. Okay, so means user, now WAN user, now communication channel that combines many type of media. Now in this case we can use the coaxial cable, we can use the optical fiber communication, we can use the telephone lines, even we can go with the wireless communication as well. So it's a combination or integration of all the wireless or wired enabling technologies for the communication of data from source to the destination. And yes, definitely wide, the internet is a well-known example of your wide area network. What can be the classifications of your network architecture? So very first type is your client to server architecture. Now if you're observing the figure, the server will be having at, it will be at the highest privilege mode. It will define the certain set of rules. It will going to manage n number of different services, and the client will going to just use those services based on the requests. Now suppose this laptop or this device or node wants to communicate with the server. Okay, suppose this is the web server and now this laptop wants to access that web page. It will send the request via the internet and server will receive that request and give the acknowledgement in the form of the web page. That is the data that is being transmitted back. Okay, so the devices, client services or the devices are will be at the lowest authorized contents. Means server will be having the greatest authorization. Okay, who will always be provide the commands to your the client. So it will be act as a master slave kind of communication. Okay, the server will going to communicate and it will be having the main better computational power. Okay, the client system will be having less computational power, but server needs to needs to follow the better roles. Okay, your single server can go with the different set of rules or execution of different roles also. Okay, it can work as a web server, it can work as an email server, DHCP server, Wi-Fi server. So many different roles it has to perform, and that is why its computational power as compared to clients, it must be as high as possible. Okay, and for the client one, it is always lesser because it will know it will just use the services provided by the server only. Okay. Other one is the peer-to-peer architecture, where the devices are on the same authorized platform. Means it is a simply server-to-server communication or it's a client-to-client communication. All are on a same platform. Will be having the same authorized level. Okay, so anyone will initiate the session. Okay, and can transmit it data. It will be no just like in your client-to-server. Okay, anyone, if you want the data, they can send and receive. It is mutually, everybody is at the same level over here. And finally, we'll talk about the network topology. There are different types of network structure. What is actually topology means? The topology will be considered as it is a pattern that has been designed or that has been created while connecting the devices or computers. So it is a pattern of interconnection of devices and called as a topology. How it will look like? Okay, if the devices are connected in the form of ring, we can say it is a ring topology. Means it's a kind of we can say this layout, or it's a manner in which the devices are capable of exchanging the information. Okay, and some of the topologies widely used, these are the post topology, star topology, ring topology, mesh topology, tree topology, and hybrid topology. So depends on the usage or the application, we can use any topology. So it behaves like that structure. If it is bus, it will be all the devices are connected to the single backbone network. If it is star, the devices are connected to the central hub. Okay, let us talk about it in details. If I am talking about the bus topology, now if you are observing, we are having here central thick coaxial cable, and all these computers are connected to it by a separate taps. Okay, and now this cable, your backbone cable, is properly terminated with on either both ends, so to avoid the echoes of the data that has been transmitting and that will going to interfere with each other. Okay, so any device will going to transmit the data, it is via this the backbone cable only. The biggest disadvantage of this bus topology, if this backbone cable cut down, your network will be laid down. Okay, the devices cannot communicate with each other. Okay, then we can talk about the next one is the ring topology. Ring topology, now it shows the devices are connected in the ring fashion. Okay, so one device will connect it to other device is connected to the next, and it will follow one closed loop. Okay, so we can also call this ring topology as a token ring topology. Devices wants to transmit the data. Suppose this device wants to communicate the data with this device, will always send one token with the data. The one who has that token number will accept that data. Otherwise, rest of the users simply, yes, forward that data to its neighborhood if that token is not belonging to that particular device. So in this way, it will create one closed loop system. We can call this as a ring topology. But the disadvantage is, if one of the device in a ring fails, your overall network will let down again. Okay, that is again your next topology. If the next topology, we can talk about the star topology. Now its structure look like a star. If I'm having all the devices connected to the central hub or central device or central processing unit, that we can call this a hub. Hub is nothing but a networking device. Traditionally we were using the hub, but nowadays we are using network switch, and definitely we talk about this. Network switch is more smarter than the hub. Okay, this is a very important. Why? Because here the what is the working principle of hub? The data which is coming from one of the transmitter will always broadcasted on each and every output port. Means your hub will act as a one full collision domain. But if I'm using the switch will be having multiple ports. So here each port will act as a separate collision domain. So if the data is coming from one of the device, it will be transmitted to that destination system effectively, because that network switch will be having the switching table. It will going to share the information about all the nodes which is connected to it. And if the data is coming from one of the device on one of the port, it will try to analyze that particular data and try to identify whether the destination device is connected over which port, and in that port the data will be transmitted. Okay, and that is why we always say that the network switch is always smarter than the hub. Okay, and that is very widely we are using this star topology, as the number of cables required is very much less. Okay, and but there will be having a big disadvantage of this. If your hub fails or network switch fails, your overall network topology or network laid down. So we need to take care of this centralized network switch or hub. Okay, if I'm talking about the next topology, the mesh topology, each and every device in a network is connected separately with the one dedicated link. Now, if you're observing, it looks like very complex structure. Yeah, because each and every device is connected with other devices by a separated guided medias, that is your cable, wired cable. Okay, so normally if I'm talking about a mesh topology, and if I'm having a 5 devices, okay, now the generalized formula to calculate total number of cables is n into n minus 1 by 2. Well, if it is 5 devices are there, how many connecting cables are needed? So 5 into 4 by 2, that is 10 cables. So now see, the initial cost requirement, that is our investment needed to implement this mesh topology, is very high. Okay, and that is why it is not widely used technology. Okay, but yes, if one link fails, yes, the user can transmit the data by using some alternative paths also. That is the big advantage of this mesh topology. Along with that, we have another tree topology. Now see its architecture. We have one centralized node, that is the uppermost root node. Okay, and they have just distributed their privilege or their rights to the other 2 nodes. So in this way, we can have the hierarchy. Okay, and the hierarchy will look like it is an inverted tree-like structure. Okay, so the devices will try to communicate with the above node. Okay, as is the parent node. Now again, these parent nodes are going to communicate with its root node. Okay, so in this way you can go with the designing of this inverted tree topology as well. And finally, it's a combination of all. Either if we have one network which is connected with the star topology, another is the ring topology, and other is a bus topology, or we can have the integration of all. Yes, that is also possible, because in every different locations the users can have their own architecture. So how you are going to communicate with each other, that is again one of the good skill. So yes, we have this particular topology also, we can effectively use it. Okay, so I think for today's session content for first half an hour, that can be the kind of content from my side. Yes, so yes, so I think it's over to Shivke ma'am. So if you, the participant, if you do have any query, they can raise it. Okay, otherwise we can move to the next the speaker contents. Yes, Shivke ma'am.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much for your wonderful session. I'm sure that students have definitely got an insight into the introduction of computer networks. So, if there are more queries, then maybe we can move on to the next session.
Yes, or otherwise we can take the queries at the end of the session.
Yes,
That
yes,
which
sure,
may be
sir.
better for us. Yeah.
Yes, yes, sure. So next I hand over the session to Isha Vyas ma'am. A warm welcome to you, ma'am. I request you to continue with the session.
Thank you so much, Sonal ma'am. Is presentation visible, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am, it's visible.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. A pleasant good evening to all of you. I am Professor Isha Vyas from PCCOE College of Engineering, ENTC department. So let us have the look at the next contents, that are reference models. So today we are going to cover in this session the understanding of the architecture of internet with an analogy. Then
Hello.
Hello.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, ma'am. Actually, there is a very badly noise in your voice, ma'am, because your voice is not clear completely.
Okay, I'll check it. Just hold
Please.
for a minute.
Thank you so much.
Hello. Is my voice clear now, ma'am? Hello.
It's
Ma'am, it
better now.
sounds quite clear to me.
Yeah, it's better
Yes.
now.
Now better.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, so we are highlighting over the ISO OSI model, reference model, then TCP/IP reference model, and then comparison between the two. So let us begin with the OSI reference model. Before that, we should understand why we are having this layering structure of the OSI, ISO OSI reference model as well as TCP/IP reference model. So let us have a very simple example in our day-to-day life. If we are going for an aeroplane journey, so we have to follow certain protocols and processes. So firstly, we will pick up the ticket, purchase the ticket, then the baggage check will be done. After that, the loading will be done on the aeroplane, and then aeroplane will get take off, and then the aeroplane will follow the path, and it will reach to the destination. At the destination side, again, we have to follow certain process in the reverse manner. So the aeroplane will first land, then we have to, then the complete baggages and the people will unload, and then again baggage checking and claiming will be done, and finally we will out of the airport. So now why I have explained this. So this is the complete process which we follow. If we convert this process into the layered structure, so it will be more manageable as well as more understandable. So you can have a look over here how this complete process have been converted into the layered structure. So this complete process now getting converted into the steps. So first is the ticketing, then baggage, then gate processes, then takeoff and landing process of the aeroplane, and then aeroplane routing. So here is the concept come why we are doing the layering of these protocols. Okay, so layering makes the concept very easy. It reduces the complexity, and it makes the system more modular and easy to understand. So the complete protocol structure get converted into the stack or the layer structure. So the ISO OSI reference model, which is also called as an open system interconnection, which is introduced by ISO standardization in 1984. It is called as an open system because it deals with the connecting the open systems which are available for communication with the other systems. Here are the 7 layers which are included in the OSI reference model. So from top to bottom, application, presentation, session, transport, network, data link, and a physical layer. So these are the 7 layers included in the ISO OSI reference model. Now here is the detailed structure of this ISO OSI reference model. Now let us understand why we are studying this and why there is a need to understand this ISO OSI reference model. Now, you might be the student of ENTC branch or the computer branch or any other branch, let's say mechanical branch or any other branch. So you might get question in your mind that what is the need of this subject to us? So being a technocrat or being the engineer of tomorrow, we are in the technology era where we are using the communication in almost each and every aspect of our life. So when we are transmitting a message from one end to the other end, so how actually it transmits, so that will be easily understand from this OSI reference model. Because when a device has to transmit some message from one end to the other end, it has to follow this OSI reference model or TCP/IP reference model. So here is the structure. Suppose we are having the host A and host B. So on the both ends, we will be having this, and suppose this host A and host B are using this OSI reference model guidelines for transmitting the message from the source end to the destination end. So it has to follow the 7-layer structure. So how it will follow? Basically, firstly, suppose host A is generating a message, and this message will be where it will generate. So on the application layer at host A end, he will generate the message. By using some of the application from the application layer, he will generate the message. But this message cannot be transmitted directly from application layer from the host side to the sender side to the receiver side. But it has to transmit from all the layers on the source side to all the layers on the destination side. So from the source side, it will just follow the path like 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And on the destination side, it will then go from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up to 7. So when a message is generated at application layer on the sender side, it will then pass to the presentation layer on the sender side, then to the session layer, then message will be percolated to the transport layer. The message is handed over from the transport layer to the network layer. After that, the data link layer will hand it over the message from the network layer to the physical layer. And likewise, the physical layer is having only the right to put this message in the form of raw bits on the channel. As they all are aware that whenever the communication takes place between the source and the destination, there should be certain path or the channel should be established between the source and the destination. So over that channel, it may be the optical fiber, it may be the twisted cable pair. So over that channel, or it may be the wireless also. So over that channel, the message should be first placed. So message placing will be done only by a physical layer, not by the application or the presentation layer. So understanding this, the the physical layer on the host A side will just put the message on that channel and it will just transmit it on the destination side. Here on the destination side, at the physical layer, the message will be received and it will be processed throughout the 7 layers. Again, the sequence will be 1 to 7. So in that way, we will be having complete transmission of message from the source to destination. Now you might be having the question in your mind, why we are having this type of a structure. So the lower 3 layers, that is physical, data link and the network layer, these are the layers from where the routers which are the intermediate node between the source and the destination. All of us are nowadays having the internet broadband connection at our places. So all of us are aware what is the router is. So routers are acting as the intermediate nodes between the source and the destination. So these intermediate nodes can access the data only from these 3 basic lower layers, that is physical, data link and the network layer. The application layer data cannot be accessed and should not be accessed by anybody else, because if it is so, it will be the hacking process or it is the bad practice. So it should be confidential. Only the data can be accessed by the intermediate node it's from the physical, data link and the network layer. Now coming to the next point, we will see now the functionality and working of each and every layer one by one. So the very first layer is the physical layer, which is the very first layer of the ISO OSI reference model, which transmits the raw bit. As just we have seen, it transmits the raw bit over a communication channel, because just below the physical layer, the physical channel is placed, which is the connection in between the host source and a destination. Here, there are a large number of design issues. So these are the mechanical, electrical, and time interferences. The physical transmission mediums which lying below the physical layer. Due to this, we are having these type of design issues. The next one is a data link layer, which is just present above the physical layer. It takes a raw transmission facility. It makes the line free from undetected transmission errors. So if there are some transmission errors in between, so it will be detected by the data link layer. Now, here the sender breaks the input data into the data frames or the data units if required, and it will transmit to the next layer. So whatever data will be there, it will be just breaked into frames and it will be just given to the next layer. The next is the network layer, which is the very crucial layer of the ISO-OSI reference model, as it is responsible for the delivery of data from the original source to the destination network. Here, it will find out the best possible route. There are many routes available, but it will find out the best possible and the shortest among all the routes to pass the message from source to destination, or to pass the packets from source to destination. Here the design issues are determining how the packets are routed from source to destination. The next one is a transport layer. In transport layer, it accepts the data from the above and split up into the smaller units if it needs. Now from where it is accepting the data, as we have just seen previously the structure, so the data is just moving top to down. So application, presentation, session, transport. So in that way we are moving or percolating the data. So when data is transmitted from the upper layer to the lower layer, so we are processing over the data layer by layer. So here in the transport layer, again the data has been divided into or split up into the smaller units, which is called as the data unit, and then it will be just transmitted to the next layer. The next one is a session layer. It is, as its name indicates, it is used to establish the session between the consecutive layers. And here the main two functions of the session layer is the dialog control and a synchronization. The dialog control means when we need a duplex communication or the bidirectional communication, so that will be done with the help of a session layer. The second one is a synchronization. On the long distance communication, it may be happen that due to some network problem or due to some physical issue, there might be the crash of the connection in between the source and the destination. So if it is so, the synchronization process should be done. So this will be done by the session layer. It will be just done by using the checkpoint in between the long distance, the channel in between the source and the destination. So the checkpoint will be placed over there and it will do the synchronization process from source to destination. Suppose a session will terminate in between because of some problem, so it will just synchronize with the help of the session layer. The next one is a presentation layer. The presentation layer is very, very important, which is also called as a syntax layer, as it gives the data format required for transmitting a data, as well as it is used for the encryption of the data. Now we will see the meaning of both the things separately. Data format in the sense, suppose we are transmitting n number of bits. N number of bits are floating over the channel. So the first 8 bits stand for what? The next 5 bits stands for what? So that will be done, or that will be given by the presentation. That will be decided by the presentation layer. So here in short, it will decide the thing which is to be transmitted. The encryption in the sense, suppose we are transmitting certain data which is of a confidential type, so it should not be leaked in between the communication, during the communication. So that type of a data will be encrypted. Encrypted in the sense, the plain text will be converted into some unreadable format by using this encryption process, and that will be done by the presentation layer. The next one is the application layer, which is the very top layer of the ISO-OSI reference model. Now, it enables the user to access the various network resources. It is very simple. Just as we are using our system for writing the mail, as we are using our system for searching on the web for certain website, So it is just the application layer where we are working actually. We are all aware of HTTP, what the HTTP is, that is Hypertext Transfer Protocol. So here it comes to the application layer. The user can use the various applications by using this application layer. So the HTTP is very popular example of this. We can access any of the data from the www by using this HTTP protocol. Some of the different examples are electronic mail and network news. We can have the access of a mail by using this application layer protocol. This is another service provided by the application layer. Now, the next one is, here it comes at the end of a ISO OSI reference model and the introduction to TCP/IP model. So TCP/IP model just comes from the ISO OSI reference model. Here we combine some of the layers, and as you know, the ISO OSI reference model having the 7-layer structure, and whereas the TCP/IP reference model is the 5-layer structure. In some of the books, you can get the 4-layer structure also. So with the different authors, which are the main 2 reference books for this subject, that is Tannenbaum and Forouzan. So for both, you will be having different TCP/IP model structure. In one you will get the 4-layer structure, and in another you will get the 5-layer structure. Here you can see the layers are in TCP/IP reference model: application, transport, internet, link layer, and physical layer. Now, we can have the layer structure view over here. So here the stack is formed of 5 layers. Again, physical link, network, transport, and application from the bottom to top. Similar way, we are having here the protocol data unit. PDU stands for protocol data unit. So as we have discussed that how message is transmitted from the source to destination, let us just have a look at this. Suppose here I am transmitting a password. Let us say I am transmitting a password from source A to host A to host B. My password is just pccoe@12345. So this message will be at the application layer first. When it switches to the presentation layer will check out its syntax, and it will just add some of the bits or the information from the presentation layer to that message. So some of the information will be added to that message. So the original message now changed. When it switches from presentation layer to the session layer, again here the information related to session layer will be included into that message. Then the edited message will be transmitted from 5th layer to 4th layer, that is the transport layer. At the transport layer, suppose some code related to transport layer TL will be added to that message. Next to that, the message will be then percolated to the network layer, where the again additional information of the network layer will be added to the message. Then it will just transmit to the data link layer, where again some information related to data link will be added to the message. And finally, where the physical layer, that complete data will be converted into binary, that is the stream of zeros and ones, and that will be then transmitted through the physical channel or the channel that is present in between the source and a destination over the communication path. In that way, the complete process is done. So here, yes, we were here on the, yes. So that is why we are saying here the concept of protocol data unit. Means initially it was the message, then how it converts into the segment, then datagrams, then frames, and then one complete protocol data unit. So in that way, we can the complete ISO OSI reference model process over the data or a message. Here is the structure of the protocols, different protocols which are available for different layers, ISO layers, and which different protocols are used in which different layers. We will be going into detail of each and every protocol in the coming sessions. So the next one is the internet layer, which is present in the TCP/IP model. So it permits the host to inject the packets into any network and have them travel independently to the destination. The internet layer defines the official packet format and protocol called IP, which is Internet Protocol, which we are going to into detail in the tomorrow's session. The job of the internet layer is to deliver IP packets where they are supposed to go. So it will just transmit the given packets to its pre-described destination. The next one is a transport layer. Here in transport layer, there are two main protocols called as a TCP, that is Transmission Control Protocol, and the UDP, that is User Datagram Protocol. The main difference between these two is TCP is a reliable and a connection-oriented protocol, whereas the UDP is the unreliable and a connection-less protocol. To understand these two terminologies, let us have the example. TCP is just similar to your telephone network or a telephone communication, where we have the handshake in between the sender and a receiver. We have the termination as well as establishment of the connection, whereas and here we have the reliable connection because we know the connection has been established in between the source and the destination. Whereas in UDP, it is completely unreliable and a connectionless protocol. So we can resemble this to the postal service. Once we transmit we send the message through the postal service, so we don't have any acknowledgement from the receiver side that the message has been transmitted successfully, received successfully or not. So this type of a communication is an unreliable communication. So here, the details of these protocols will be just covered in the coming sessions. So we can have just look over this. It delivers the byte of streams from one machine to the other machine in the internet without an error. As it is a connection oriented, so there will be chances of less errors. It fragments the incoming bytes streams into the discrete messages and passes each one onto the internet layer. Whereas in UDP, it is used for the applications that do not want the TCP sequencing, flow control, and just here the UDP protocol will be followed when in such connections where the accurate delivery is more important more than the safety, because we can have here the connectionless protocol and the unreliable. So suppose in such type of the examples where the client server type of request reply queries are there, in the applications where prompt delivery is more important than the accurate delivery, in such cases UDP protocol is used. So the examples are speech and video control. All of you are aware that whenever we are transmitting the speech and a video, if there is a loss of some bit, so it will not does much effect over the received data. But if it is a confidential data we are transmitting using the UDP, so it will just be very difficult while decrypting that data on the receiver end. So whenever there is no accurate delivery required, that time UDP is used. The last one is the application layer. As we have seen, all the higher level protocols are available in the application layer, such as FTP, Telnet, STMP. The FTP provides a way to move data efficiently from one machine to the other machine. So we are going into detail of all these in the further coming session. Here, at the end, we should have a simple look at the difference between OSI and a TCP/IP reference model. So in a OSI model, the three concepts are very clear, that is central services, interfaces, and protocols. But in case of a TCP/IP, we don't have the proper distinguish between the services, interfaces, and the protocol. As we have seen, the layers are combined over there. In OSI reference model, it was devised before protocol was invented. And the TCP/IP reference model is just invented after the protocols were invented. So it is called as a 7-layer structure. It is a 4-layer or a 5-layer structure. It supports both modes of the communication in the network layer, that is connection oriented and a connectionless, but only connection oriented communication in the transport layer. Whereas in the TCP, connectionless mode of the communication is used in the network layer, but it supports both modes, that is connectionless and a connection oriented in a transport layer. So thank you very much. Here we cover the point, that is introduction to the layer structure by the analogy of ISO-OSI reference model and the TCP/IP reference model and the difference between these two. I hope it is clear to all of you. And if there are any doubts, we can have the doubt clearing session at the end of the 5-day workshop. And then from tomorrow, we will be having the explore to more and more different ideas. So I hope it is clear to all of you. Sontakti sir?
Yes, madam. Thank you very much for sharing this valuable session, and hope that every students, every participants have the basic the information that is preliminary requirement of studying the computer networks. And yes, students, from tomorrow onwards, we're going to take our journey towards very good insights again. And as I mentioned, we should go with the study of internet protocol addresses, as I can call this as a logical addressing. And yes, for designing of networks, this IP addressing, your classes, whether it is a classful addressing, classless addressing, we can have different subnets, how we can form the subnets, okay? And based on that, how the networks are defined, that will going to provide a very valuable insight. So tomorrow will be a very good, interesting sessions. Will be we are going to observe, and in next we're going to see the actual designing on different simulation tools, that is Cisco Packet Tracer, and how each and every packet can be analyzed with the help of the packet analyzer tool. So hope that this session would be very much helpful to you, and we'll be looking after in the tomorrow's session also. Okay, so if you do have your any queries, this platform is open for the queries. Yes.
Sir, can we get these PPTs?
Yes, definitely. The recordings, the PPTs will be shared, okay, and that will be definitely we are sharing with the help of the Google Drives, okay, after the completion of the sessions, okay. And one more thing regarding your attendance, we have used certain extensions in Google Meet, so automatically the attendance will be recorded. So we are not providing any daily attendance link, okay, and the certificates will be provided those who will be attending all the sessions, okay. And at the last we are providing the feedback also link, okay. So it's a mandatory, okay, so to go with all the sessions, and definitely you will be getting benefited as it is the preliminary stage, okay. And it's very much interesting. You come to know that once you are joining or completing the overall sessions. But if you, for this current today's session, if you do have any query, you can ask us. Otherwise, we can stop this presentation. Yeah.
Sir, can we explain wireless devices?
Pardon?
Wireless devices can be elaborated, sir, in this session?
Yes, yes, definitely. Because we have one separate session on what are the different networking devices are available and how we are going to identify it. What are their specifications? What are their advantages of using in the designing of the network, wired as well as wireless devices. Everything will be taken in the workshop, and its application also. How we are going to use it with the help of simulators.
Okay, sir.
Understood,
Okay.
Yogesh? Yeah. Any other queries, students?
No, sir. Thanks.
Okay, yeah. Thank you, all of you. So thank you for having such a good participants. Okay, tomorrow let's meet exactly at 5:15 with the same link provided. Yeah. So have a nice day to you. Okay, we'll meet tomorrow. Thank you, Isha ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Have a nice day, all of you.
Thank you, ma'am.